That's going to start.
Are we all good? Ready
Well,
to go?
it's you can see it's kind of like circling where it says it's recording.
It takes a while for it to connect or start.
Who knows? I got 4 kids. I got 4 people on internet here. Sharon, yours says recording? Good.
Yeah,
there we
mine
go.
too now.
We are good to go.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. It's almost Friday. I know you must be relieved. You guys have been working so hard and it's been crazy. So I know I'm glad that tomorrow's Friday. So, I could take that little box away. Here's our links to our share forms that we started last time. If you have something else you want to add, your tip or your challenge, do throw it in those forms. We'll keep those running for a little while, and you do have access to them through the Bitly all the time. So if you want to go back and check somebody's thoughts or tips, you can do that. And if time allows, we'll circle back to that at the end of the session. So grab those Bitlys, and Lisa's probably throwing them in the chat right now.
Just did it.
There you go. So just a couple little housekeeping things real quick. Somebody pointed out to me that this came in their email recently, and I just wanted to clarify it. If you got an email like this that said, please confirm your address, and it's from accounts@teachingbooks.net, it's okay to confirm your email, and it's okay to make an educator login. Educator logins allow you to save resources and share resources out and create QR code posters of materials in teaching books. You would still access this through the portal tile as your single sign-on type of, although it's not single sign-on yet, but that's your access point. And then once you're in there, it says login as educator, and you put in your school district email and the password you made up, something different than your district password, and it knows that you're you, and you can save resource lists and so forth. So don't be concerned if you get this email. I think they're just trying to encourage better usage. The tool is really used at its best if you make that login and you can save stuff. So if you've never looked at Teaching Books, and we're going to talk to them about dropping into a Topical Tuesday sometime soon, and doing a little run through for people that haven't used Teaching Books very much. But if you get that email, it's okay to respond and take a look at Teaching Books. We have a new hashtag. Lisa made this great graphic for us. We were asked by our curriculum department to make a hashtag that represents us virtually. So as you tweet, please tag your stuff this way. And we're on a list now with the curriculum department and the upper leadership, so they can find the cool stuff that's going on. And it's a little long, but if you use this hashtag, you don't have to tag as many people, because we can search it by the hashtag. Maybe just tag @LibraryCurrent, and we'll work real hard to retweet everything that we get. And keep it going that way. If you run out of characters, I know that's a long thing. We angst over trying to make something that said school library. So there you go. There's the Bitly for our Library Current website. We keep throwing new things in there, and we'll rearrange some things, and we're going to start a new page soon with that. So make note of that, Bitly, and save it however you prefer. A custom tile on the portal is not a bad idea, and check back to that often. We put everything we can think of there to help you guys out, and make suggestions what you think should be added. So shoot Lisa an email or me, and we'll add things. We wanted to highlight one of our librarians. Again, we really appreciated Elizabeth's work on her schedule, and I discovered this in a tweet. I'm hoping this will play inside the Hangout. Not sure, but I thought this was a great way to be the virtual librarian. So let's see if it'll play for us. And I don't know how the sound will go. What do you think, Lisa? You think the sound will work if it loads?
It might, but Elizabeth is saying no. I've been seeing some things yes, some things no. We
Yeah,
can
I
try
bet it
it.
won't, but we're going to find out. I'm going to press the button and we're going to see what happens.
Hello, Wolverine. Don't worry.
And does it work?
Yep, it does.
I continue to be available to you in numerous ways. The easiest and fastest way to get a hold of me is through email, Suzette.calderon@palmbeachschools.org. Secondly, try my Google Classroom. Join code is XI6UUNW. I've posted all kinds of resources there for you. Finally, follow me on Twitter or Instagram. Even though the library is closed, you do have access to books. You've always had access to Mac and Via through your student portal. Check it out. We've also got the Palm Beach County Library System and different companies such as Audible and Junior Library Guild offering up free books. Check out my Google Classroom to get the direct links and directions to get there. It's been said, when in doubt, go to the library. And that's still true. I'm still available for you for anything you might need, from research skills to checking the validity of your sources to accessing different books or even different technology tips. So email me or contact me and I can help you out. You may be doing live meets with your teachers, but did you know that you can live meet with the librarian as well? Are you interested in a virtual book club? Email me. I can set it up. Thanks for watching, and please reach out. I'm here for you.
So round of applause for Suzette. She's in our meeting.
And we've thoroughly embarrassed her.
And we didn't mean to embarrass her. And this is just one of the great things that you guys are putting out there. And so we're going to start a page to highlight our virtual libraries so that we can tag one place and promote it to the district leadership so they know what libraries can be in this environment. And we know that some of you, we have heard from some that it's that it has been a struggle for some to connect with their faculty. They've been sort of ignored and pushed aside. So we want to let everybody know what they're missing if they're not engaging with their librarian. So watch for some more information about sharing out what you're doing so we can highlight it with the rest of the world. Okay. So I think I missed a slide somehow. Huh. All right, well, we'll just jump with this. How many of you accepted the offer from Mackin for the free nonfiction books? I see waving hands. So, and it's up to you. They are, you know, they always that famous saying, you get what you pay for. They are free, so they're okay-ish, but it is a nice advantage right now. So if you haven't done that or don't know how, this is going to walk you through adding those books, but we want to talk about ideas for curating the books after you load them, because it's thousands. So once you have thousands in your Mac and Via shelf, they're pretty much invisible unless you create some things to kind of show them off on the front page or whatever. So if you haven't worked with the back end of your Mac and Via, the way you get to it is by clicking your login name, and that drops down, and you hit administrator, and you log in with the login that you have when you want to shop Mackin, the company, at mackin.com. It's not your Active Directory password. It's that separate password you have if you're a customer of Mackin. And you can have a login. It doesn't mean you have to. You have to buy ebooks from them if you want them to show up on the Mac and Via shelf. But you don't have to be a customer to go to have that login. So if you don't have one, you can contact Beth Napier at Mackin. She is our outside rep, and she very much wants to help everybody in this downtime. She's very much available. There's her contact information. And really, she should probably be your go-to person if you have any issues with Mac and VIA, after you contact Lisa and I to make sure it's not a district glitch or problem. Beth is actually more available maybe than the customer service. And when you go directly to the customer service line, I know you can find that number and call them, and they're great. Connie Knight is wonderful. But Beth shared with me that they actually, when they get a lot of calls straight to customer service, they kind of ask her, hey, what's going on? Aren't you supporting your people? So if you can, don't skip over Beth to go to the customer service line so that you know everybody at Mackin knows she's reaching out to us. So once you have that account, you log in as an administrator and you end up on this back page. And if you click promotions in the gray tab and you click activate, it will activate that package. Now this example has a middle school package up because I made these screenshots from Carver Middle School's back end of Mac and VIA, but yours would be the high school package or whatever you choose. There's classics as well, whatever you choose to activate, but that would be where you would access that. So once you have all that mess in your shelf, you'll want to curate it. And these are some ways to do it. You can enable categories, you can make groups, you can add links, and you can arrange your homepage. How many of you have done stuff like this with Mac and VIA? Is everybody all good on this? Maybe it's, I don't want to be like redundant or, okay. We'll just go through it real quick. So the first thing you want to do is to enable categories, especially when you have so many books. Once you put these nonfiction books in, and all you do is go in the back to settings and pick categories, and you end up with this screen. You just click enable, and then you can choose how your icons look. You will most definitely want the secondary ones. So pull down that menu and pick secondary, and it makes picture icons for the categories. This way, the kids can click that tab, and it's basically a visual search. You know, they want sports, they just click the sports icon, and they get the list. So after you do that, this is what you end up with. You will have a categories tab on the left that you didn't have before, and your books will be tagged into the categories illustrated there. And those are the secondary. That's not all of them, but that's an example of what the secondary icons look like. And so the students can, you know, click animals, click whatever to do a browse. Now, if you want to make groups to highlight your resources, that's under Classroom in the back end of the system. Under Classrooms, and you pick groups, and you'll get that screen that has the number 1 on it. And you then do create a group, new group, and that will lead you to name it and so forth. Or you can manage existing groups. They'll all appear there. That's where you can delete them if you're tired of that group. It doesn't delete the books. It's just a shortcut to the books. Or you can edit them and add material. Or, yay us, you can send that group, you can use it, attach it in Google Classroom. So maybe you create a group for some particular teacher's assignment to support their work, and you can have them, you can put it in their Google Classroom or yours. So once you do new group, you describe it like it says on the first example, and by clicking save, it activates it and it turns that red button green. And then in step 2, you just click manage resources. It opens a search and you pick your books from there or your any other resources. And I'll show you, if you make links, you can put links into a group. So if you have links about a certain topic, so that you just add resources right from there. So to add links, so you can put some other material in your groups, you go to resources, links, and you'll get this page. you'll see two examples of links I have made for Carver Middle School. One of them is a link to the Library of Congress. So that's a web page. The second one is a link to an article from one of the Gale resources, and I just chose their permalink. Now you end up getting the little generic logo for it, but that will link right out to a particular article I chose from the Gale material. And I'll show you how that's useful in a second. So now you can go and rearrange your home page to your liking. This is where you change what the kids see. So you go to settings and home page, and you have these ribbons. Now, these are the examples from Carver Middle, and I have made a category ribbon carousel, and I've made an SSYRA carousel, and I've made a group, and I've made a group for classics, and I'll show you that live in a second. You can drag these ribbons around and put them in different order, but you just simply do add a category or add a group and put them here first, and then rearrange them. So there's the add category and add group. And it does take a little bit of time for these to show up. Sometimes for me, it's taken overnight to see them change, but it's not instant, but it does take a little bit for the front end of your page appearance to change. And then of course you can go back in when this year's SSYRA is over and you don't need to highlight those books anymore. You can click the X and take that ribbon or carousel, is what they call it, off your front page and make a new one for next year's SSYRA, which I hope we'll get to buy. Oh, all right, so here's where I want to escape this. And I want to go live and show you. This is the front end of Carver Middle School's page. And you can see here that I've made a featured category out of sports. These are the actual free books, or a sample of them. This is a group I'd made a long time ago to highlight the 6-8 books for SSYRA. And I made this out of the best of the classics that were available in the classic upload. And then everyone has a ribbon for newest, which is why you see all this nonfiction here. I moved it down because I wanted at least some fiction or something high interest at the top of the page. And then highest rated and top resources is the most clicked on. And then the Dogo News is a free resource that Mackin lets us have in our VIAs. So I did all that work from that homepage screen and rearranged the ribbons. But first you have to make the groups before they go in here. Now, you don't have to highlight your groups for them to be seen or used or located. Of course, it's going to take a minute for it to cycle. These are the 3 groups I've made for Carver, and you can have them in list view. And then this is the one that I made for African American history with a few books. And there's the link to Rosa Parks' exhibit at the Library of Congress. And this is the link to that Rosa Parks article I pulled from the Gale. Okay, did I lose everybody, Lisa? Because
no, they're still there.
Okay, because I've got
We're good.
2 computers running this, and I think my Mac just died again. I only have.
Yep, you're back to your it's saying you're presenting to everyone.
Okay, but I'm doing that on the Chromebook.
You're back now. Yep, you're back.
Yeah. Okay, but I think my other connection has just died, so I can't see the chat anymore or anybody's faces. All right, so let me know.
I will keep you posted.
All right, so then the other thing is you can see categories by clicking this link or this tab. And you can see there's quite a few icons, including one for graphic novels. And you can edit these in the back of Mac and Via as well. If you, for example, for whatever reason, you don't want the history icon books in a category, you can take that out. Or maybe there's only one book in that category, so it's kind of silly or whatever. You can pick and choose which ones of these show up. And then surprise, in the free, there's a few audiobooks. And so you're going to end up, if you load them or if you haven't bought audiobooks from Mackin already, which only a few of us have, you're going to get an audiobook tab show up once you load them. And then this is another way to get to links. So you can make links that you don't add to groups. They can just be in your links. So that's pretty much, wrong screen. And this is what the back end looks like, where we did it all from. So settings, homepage, classroom, groups, and resources, links. Those are the places that I went to set those things up. Anybody have any questions?
Throw them up in the chat. And we created some short tutorial videos and threw them on the Library Current. So each segment of how to do this is broken down. If there's another tutorial you need, just email me and I will happily create them. I think everyone's good.
Okay, well, let's go back here. Loading again slowly. Before we went to the looking at our challenges and tips and all that sharing that we need to do, I just wanted to be sure to share this with you. I have been so impressed with how flexible and how strong you guys have been, and just stepping right up to the plate and figuring out ways to work with your school communities, even though you're at home, and using technology to do it. And this is a statement from Wanda Brown, who is the outgoing president of ALA. And this was in her message when she had to write an announcement that ALA Annual in June was to be canceled. And I just think this is really true, how important we are to our communities and to, the very core of democracy itself, to be libraries and to keep them alive. And so you guys are doing a tremendous job, and I wanted to be sure and thank you and tell you that we really admire everything you guys are doing. So Lisa, you want to pull up those documents?
Sure.
and just start chatting about them, and I'll go try to pull them up in a secondary way so that everybody can see them. But you're probably better off grabbing your own copy, everybody, with the bit.ly to look at it. But what do you see, Lisa?
I'm trying to if I pulled it up with the right bit.ly, it would be great. Hang on. So can you put the bit.lys back up? Because I apparently
Yeah, I was going to say I can't remember the bit.ly, so let me go back.
Thank you.
Actually, I thought I'd had this slide at the end of the slide deck, but apparently I did not.
That happened to me on Tuesday with the elementary ones.
There they are.
All right. So I pulled up the challenges, and I'm seeing that there's not as much participation from students as anticipated. That's from Elizabeth. Has anyone had any success in getting their students to participate? Reeling them in? I know it's hard. I know we're hearing that challenge from all levels. And Alina, time management between a zillion things for work on top of juggling my 2 middle schoolers' immense workload. I feel ya. I get it. I relate. My freshman is struggling with the workload and keeping up with it. His grades are currently in the toilet. I've never seen him with grades like these. C's, D's, F's. He's a straight A student.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's rough. It's really rough. It's we'll get him there, but this is out of his comfort zone, and he's having a hard time tracking everything. So, Alina, similar in your house? Hard time keeping up? Yep. I get it. And I see Amy, she's not with us today, but she put up, she needs to design a virtual library page to link to the school website and train our teachers to use it. Students use resources well from her Google Classroom, but teachers are emailing her question that she's already addressed in the Google Classroom. And that is actually our topic for next week. We are going to be talking about how to set up and create these virtual libraries for your faculty, staff, and students. So we are on top of it. We hear you. We understand the need for it. But it's tough. And Amy was also saying time management, needing to design a schedule and prioritize her responsibilities and being pulled into too many directions. I think we can all relate to that. We're all being pulled in so many directions that it's really, really tough.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay. We're also dealing with my husband's business in the background, teaching virtual CPR classes. So it's been quite interesting.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes. But we all have our challenges. I'm glad everyone is well.
Me too. It's challenging. The internet in my house is slow right now because 2 kids on virtual live meetings and my husband on his meetings and me on a meeting, and we're taxing our virtual resources to the max. It's something. All right, I'm going to pull up the tips.
Sounds like from the chat, Elizabeth, that you are getting some engagement from the kids. Is it just they're not I mean, if you have 300 in your Google Classroom, that's pretty awesome.
I mean, I have some, it's just nowhere near what I thought I was going to have. I mean, I would have pictured 25, 30 kids in the library live lunches, or book club. What did we have, Rebecca, for book club 2 on Friday? I normally have 10, around 10-ish, I guess I would say, for book club in person. I don't know. I mean, they are reaching out to me, privately through email when they have a question, which I think is really important. I think I'm just more worried more than anything. There's a lot I haven't seen at all.
Yeah. I wonder if it's the workload everyone's talking about from the student side, that they're just the ones that are engaging in all the work, that they're overloaded.
Well, and it's babysitting. Babysitting their siblings. Some are working full time. I've got several that are going out and working on the farms with parents. We've got internet issues still. There are several communities in Belglade that don't have the infrastructure for Comcast. Like, even though you can get it for free, they literally cannot have internet there.
Wow.
So I think there are a lot of challenges, and I think more than anything, I'm just nervous. Like, I want to go door to door and just see their faces.
Right. Well, but I think everybody's doing a valiant job, and we just have to keep at it, and eventually, that they'll connect, hopefully.
It's a challenge, and I think in our Title I schools, it's even more of a challenge, because they have other forces working upon them that some of our kids in non-Title I schools don't have. And my kids don't have to worry about babysitting their siblings or going out and working full time. They really only have to worry about their schoolwork, and they're having a hard time managing. I can't even imagine adding those other outside stressors on top of it. It's a lot. It's just a lot for them. Suzette, I agree with you. It's definitely highlighting the inequality. And it's unfair. It's rough, and it is unfortunately what we're living with for the foreseeable future. I hope you guys have been able to reach out to your seniors. I know they're feeling the disappointment for not having the live graduations at the fairgrounds, but I know the schools will do what they need to do and do what they can do as it becomes safer to host an in-person graduation. Lisa Petrosia's here. She just puts up that she's thinking about creating a Flipgrid for her library classroom, but it has over 350 students. What do you guys think? Any suggestions for the idea? I'm going to put a link to the school district's Flipgrid page. They did a fabulous live stream yesterday. If you didn't catch it, you can get that live stream on this page. But any ideas for Flipgrid, how you would use it? Maybe that would get the kids to engage. You might be able to do book club that way instead of through a live meet, and they can record their reflections on a book and in a minute and a half as opposed to a scheduled 30 minutes. So when they have their minute and a half, and it might be at 10 o'clock at night, they can come share their thoughts with you. Kind of meeting them where they are instead of where we would prefer them to be.
Yeah, I like that idea of doing, having them do book reviews or book recommendations, or make a separate Flipgrid for your book clubs and let them, send out something for them to record a reflection on, something like a, virtual discussion in a way, but everybody could just listen to it on demand.
Right. It's not as ideal as we would like, but it might be a way to get them participating and engaged, and we can see their faces, and they don't have to worry about it being on our schedule. It can be on their own schedule. And maybe, Elizabeth, for some of those kids that don't have internet, they could do Flipgrid on their phones. That way they can still participate. It's I hate that there's an inequity in the resources available to our students, and anything we can do to help decrease that inequity is fantastic. So on some of the tips, one of the biggest highlights was from Alina. My favorite resources are other media specialists, and shout out to Elizabeth and Rebecca for the assistance and the templates. People really, really appreciated that. Thank you guys so much for sharing that. Let's see, a Google Classroom for the whole school, if it's a small school, or divided by grade level with daily resources for pleasure reading, social emotional health, virtual library announcements, online office hours, and more. That's from Elizabeth. And maybe even throw up some of the author experiences that are happening live every day. This week, Jacqueline Woodson is reading live every day at 10:30 in the morning on Facebook, and some are happening on Instagram.
Bye, Mike. Sorry, he's leaving.
That's okay. And I think, I'm not 100% on this, that the next one who's going to start reading out loud every day is Jason Reynolds. I thought that's what I saw when Kwame Alexander threw it over to Jacqueline Woodson. And I don't know what his method of reading is going to be. But connecting them to their authors, the people that they love to read and want to hear from, reading live every day would be a great way to keep them engaged in reading. And even if they don't have the book in front of them, just hearing it. And I don't know about you guys, I love to hear Jason Reynolds talk. I could listen to him all day. Let's see, some other tips. This is a great one from Allison, a self-paced Kahoot. The premium subscription is now free, and all of your previously created games quizzes are there. So you can actually have your kids engage in it that way. Again, on their own time. And we may just have to deal with, unfortunately, not seeing them in the same way as that we have always seen them before. And I think this is from last week, was how to make an editable PDF worksheet for Google Classroom. There's a YouTube. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing that. Anything else anyone wants to throw out, talk about? We've got about 20 minutes left. Feel free to unmute yourself, throw your question out there. You guys are being quiet today.
Sarah's asking where to find the author read alouds. They're in different places, but I think most of them are using Facebook Live and Instagram Live. Isn't that true, Lisa?
Yes. And we've been varying. I've even seen Twitter Live.
Yeah, and I usually find out about them. The ones I find out about, I find out through Twitter. They announce it on Twitter. I heard about the Jacqueline Woodson one that way, and Kwame. So follow your favorite authors on Twitter, and if they put anything out there that they're doing, you'll hear about it that way.
Allison, you're tired, thus quiet. I get it. I'm done. I get it. Yeah, no, Christine, you're right. A lot of times they're last minute.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or they're at, quite a few of them are at, the middle of the morning. So it might be hard to get to. High school kids might be working or sleeping.
Right. It is when the kids are in live classes, but most of them are being recorded so they can go watch them later. They're leaving them up for about 24 hours at a time. So even if it's at 10:30 in the morning and they want to catch it at 10:30 at night so they can read before bed or listen to their favorite author before bed, I think that's a viable, it's a viable option. Suhail is saying, how about any resources for ELL students?
Well, Sue, one thing to think about, Suhail, is that if it's academic stuff, all of our databases translate. So if teachers are looking to find equal information for their ELLs in their native tongue, tell them to use the Gale resources and translate it into the necessary language, or the kid can, or they can use the audio feature and slow it down and let it read it to them slowly in English to help them take in the information. That's one place for material in other languages. I did notice also, I don't know about the high school, but I went through the titles for elementary in the free Mackin package. And I think I saw Spanish titles in there, a few. So see what's in that high school package.
Right. And Elizabeth just shared that Cristina Diaz Gonzalez did a read aloud. She's a wonderful author who lives fairly locally in Miami. And she said a lot of her ELLs love her. She's a lovely person and a great author. So see if you can find that and share it with them. Perfect. Some of the authors are archiving their read alouds on YouTube. I saw up there that you wished that was happening. Some are, some are not. Some can't get the permission to leave it up there for more permanent times. We're just trying to have to work. We're working with what they're doing. And it's hard. I did see, now I have to pull it up again, a new hashtag to follow for authors. Let's see, Matthew Winter shared it. See if I can find it. And it is hashtag authors take action. So maybe search that hashtag. It's on Facebook and Twitter, and it's hashtag authors take action. And that might be a way to find some of those read alouds or resources that they're sharing. Oh, I love that, Elizabeth, that LeVar Burton is reading Look Both Ways. And I think that is what Jason is going to read next week. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm like 90% sure that that's what he is set to read next week. Anyone else? Anything? Any other questions? You could, if you don't want to unmute yourself, you could throw them up in chat. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Elizabeth. Yeah, I had seen that he was going to be doing those read alouds. I didn't realize he was up to 3 already. It's nice to see him reading aloud again. All right. Well, if nobody else has anything they want to share, I think we will say goodbye for today.
Oh, you know what? I thought of one announcement we didn't include in the slides, Lisa. And that's my fault because we're putting these things together quickly. For those of you that want some extra tips about or are not familiar with how the Gale resources integrate into Google Classroom, how the kids can save them to their Google Drive and all that sort of integration thing, we are going to bring Topical Tuesday back starting next week, and you'll be getting an email out at 2:30 to 3 on Tuesdays. We're going to go back to our Topical Tuesdays, and it's going to be Robin Heston with tips about using Google Classroom and Gale resources. So stop in for that if you want to be able to help your teachers. So you guys have a great day off tomorrow. Enjoy your 3-day weekend. You certainly deserve it. Rest, rest, rest.
All right. Have a great one, guys.